All right, let's go ahead and get started. Thank you to all of you who are joining us today. I'm Caitlin Barnard. I run developer and community marketing here at Kong. I also have Kevin Chen on, who's our developer advocate. So I'd like to welcome you all to February's online meetup. Today we have our core engineering team on who are going to take you on a deep dive into some of the features of our recent release, Kong Gateway 2.0. So with that, I'll hand it over to Guanlan to kick it off.
Hi, hello, I'm Guanlan. So I'm the engineering manager for the core team, and also I'm leading the cloud team for the Kong here. So joining with me is, we do have a couple of awesome core engineers, Geheme. So he will do some demo, join our session here. And also we have our tech lead, Heishan here, hopefully he can answer some questions, if you have any. All right, so just allow me to get it started. So first, I think we finally get the 2.0 GA out. It's actually take a lot of effort and the energy to make it actually usable. It's not something just demoable. We actually spend a lot of time to think about how can we make it more straightforward as a developer? How can we improve the usability? And how could we introduce, make it much easier for you to use our best features? All right, so with that, I would first to talk some the hybrid mode. Lots of folks might already realize we announced that during last summit. So the idea behind that is, a Kong, we do rely on database, either it's a Postgres or Cassandra. And we rely on the database to do a synchronizations, also to do the clustering. So each of Kong nodes, they will rely on the database, whether you are data plane or control planes. So it's our classic mode. It's causing some of the issues. For example, if you have a lot of Kong nodes, it will create pressure for the database. And by doing that, we actually introduce in the latest version, it's a DB-less mode. What we do here, instead of read from the database directly, you read from a configuration. So it's to actually reduce some of the load from database and also to make its declared configuration possible. With that, we keeping pushing forward, it's 2.0 GA. The latest feature you can get is the kind of hybrid mode. What that means is when you're running your Kong, you can specify different roles, either it's a data plane or control plane. When you have the control plane, it's only the control plane access to the database. We'll send the control flow to the data planes, and this can drive the Kong traffic. So with that, I will show you folks a little bit demo for that.
Okay, let me share my screen. We have prepared a small demo script for you. So the first step that we are going to do is to create a Docker network in which we are going to run the database for the control plane and bootstrap the migrations for the control plane. And here we are going to start the control plane. You can see on the right terminal that we are specifying the role as control plane, and also a cluster listen, which is where the control plane is going to be listening for data plane connections. So with that, you can also see that we specify a certificate and key, which is used by the control plane and data plane for the Ubuntu TLS. So we start. So the second step, let's first take a look at the clustering endpoints. This endpoint shows you all of the data planes that are connected at a given time to the control plane. At the time, we don't have any data plane connected, so it shows an empty JSON documents. So the second step is to run a data plane. You can see we specify a different role, this time as data plane, and database off. We also specify the address where the control plane is listening for the connections. You can see here we specify the name of the container, which we gave here at the top. And we can run. Now, if we run the same requests to the clustering endpoints, you can see that we have a data plane connected to that control plane. At this point, we can actually create an upstream service and routes. In this case, we are going to be using a gRPC upstream service. So now we have a gRPC being upstream. We create a service. And you can see here that the service was created at the top. You can see the posts, services, and at the same time, the cache in the data plane was updated. Now the same thing for the routes. Similarly, the configuration was updated. And you can notice here that in the data plane, we only exposed the port 8000, which is a proxy port. So that's served by the data plane. And in the control plane, we only exposed the 8001, which is the admin API port. So now let's actually try it out and issue a gRPC request to the port 8000, which goes to the data plane. And you can see that the request went through. Hello Kong, and it's going to the data plane. Now what happens if we queue the control plane? The data plane, it caches the configuration locally. So once it gets the configuration from the control plane, it doesn't rely on the control plane for anything unless it needs to receive updates on the configuration. So if we queue the control plane, everything should keep working. And you can see that the data plane continues working. And similarly, if the data plane crashes and you have to restart it, it also caches the configuration locally. And when it's back up, it's going to continue serving the requests. With that, I'm going to pass over to Guanlan. You're muted.
Yeah, thanks Jess for the demo. So I think besides that, I would like to mention like it's for every single communication between the data plane and control plane, we do have the mutual TS in place. So they do share a certificate and keys, so which can ensure you have like fully encrypted, whether you're gonna running on cloud or like on prime, like or have a hybrid mode in place. So it's all the traffic is being fully encrypted. So the coming up is like I would talk about like the Go PDKs. So for the Go PDK, after from the kind of alpha version and for the GA version, what do we do here is we try to make it as easy as possible. So we do manage a separate process by Kong, like for the plugin servers. So like what that means, the whole life cycle of plugin server will be managed by Kong. So if the plugin server is done, Kong will spin up the process. So like you don't have to worry about like whether to maintain a different servers to support to running Kong. And besides that, we provide a kind of like a Go PDK. Right now it's like we have nice documentation around that, and we can probably show that around the demo. What that means, like right now you have the capability to write the Golang plugins using the native like Go PDK to fully integrate with the kind of Kong ecosystem. I would say like it is actually a very exciting because we can leverage a lot of like mature Go libraries. And like with that, like let's show you a quick demo.
Okay, and we have prepared a demo of the Go Hello plugin. Let's first take a look at what it does. In the access phase, similarly to Lua plugins, you can create different handlers for different phases of the request processing. And in this case, we are getting a key argument named name and adding a header at the end, which basically says go sass message to name. So and you can see it's using what Guanlan mentioned, the Go PDK. Here it imports the Go PDK, and it provides you with similar functionality as the Lua PDK. I'm gonna share the documentation for the Go PDK in the Zoom chats. So let me quickly do that. Oh, I have to join the meeting. Guanlan, can you please share the link? At the end of the meeting, we can do that.
Sure,
so,
sure. You can go ahead.
So for this demo, we have a Docker file that uses multi-stage builds, and in the first stage, it uses the Golang default official image to compile both the plugin server, which Guanlan mentioned is a new component that Kong needs to run Go plugins, and it also builds a Go plugin and copies them over to a new image based on the Kong official image to a certain location. So the plugin server goes to user local bin, which is a default path where Kong looks for it. And the Go plugin is in this case stored in the TMP Go-plugins directory. And we also copy over a declarative configuration file, config, and that essentially creates a service, a route, and enables the Go plugin in that service. So let's go ahead and build this image. And the reason that we need to rebuild both of those is that there is a tight version requirement between those components, the Go plugin server and the Go plugins. The same Go compiler has to be used, and the same version of the Go PDK has to be used in both to compile both. So we are compiling both here. If we do make, in this case, we're just building a Docker image. Let's give it a second. It's now compiling the plugin server, compile the plugin. And it's tagged. Now the actual demo, we are going to run Kong in the bilus modes using the declarative configuration file that we copied over to the image, as we saw here in the last line. So if we run that, Kong starts. You can see at the end that Kong manages the plugin server for you. It starts the plugin server. If the plugin server dies, it detects that and restarts it. Now, as you saw in the Go plugin, it's going to insert a new header, x hello from Go, and we are going to see that when we do a request. So you can see here, hello from Go, but wait, it's empty, and why is that? If you see the Go plugin, it's getting a keyword argument name and inserting the value of that in the header. So if we specify the name, you can see here that the value is injected in the header. So with that, I'm going to hand over the screen to Guanlan.
So yeah, there's some few demos. Like I would say there's some limitation for the currently Go BTK. I just want to give you folks couple of caveats. So first is no access to the ConDB so far, except like for routes, servers, and plugins. What that means, like you cannot directly access the Con database in the currently implementations. Like it cannot define like a customized entity. And also, like if you want to do admin endpoints, like it will not support at this point. So like with that, I would say like right now, like you can use is like do some body transformations, header transformations, and also like for using some of the library, the Go to do that part would be great. But like we're still like a kind of on roadmaps to have like a full future parity with the Go PDK, with the Lua PDK. But if you still take a look on the more in-depth, like a Kong integration, I would recommend it like to go Lua first, because its Go is still experimental, but I will highly encourage you to give it a try. So there's something nice for the Go language. So the coming ups, like I would chat a little bit, the less encrypted. So it's actually, as many of you folks know, like less encrypted is open, like non-for-profit kind of like a organization provide like free certificates. And also like they have a nice SME v2 protocol. What that means, like they will provide a dynamic kind of like configuration for you. Like by doing that, we add SME support for our 2.0 GA version. So what that means is like right now we allow Kong to apply those certificates from Let's Equipped or any other SME v2 services. And right now we are able to configure it dynamic for services. Another great thing about this support is like we support automatically renewal. So like it will handle by, there's a configurable threshold time. If you have this configured it, you will do the auto renewal in place, like for your all the certificates within the Kong. So yeah, that's going to be a very exciting feature. So with that, I would like to invite Jess to do a quick demo.
Okay, sharing. All right, so in this demo, we are going to be using ngrok to expose a local port with a given address in the public internet. That is required for two reasons, mainly. In our case, in our development environments, one of them is that we need an actual domain name, a valid domain name, and also we need the port 80 to be available for the challenge, for the Acme protocol challenge to be received in the port 80 and Kong to respond to that. So I started ngrok here and saved the address that we saw here in a variable, so it's easy to reference. And we're going, in this case, to be running Kong locally. And you can see that we are specifying the bundle certificates, root certificates, and we are also enabling the Acme plugin. Okay, let's restart, reset the migrations and restart. Migrations up, restart. Okay. Now we are going to create a service and a route, and we specify as hosts the host that we obtain in the ngrok. And before we enable the plugin, let's take a look at the certificates, what it is. So if we don't specify the K, it failed because it's a self-signed certificate, right? And by specifying the K, we can see here that it's a self-signed certificate, the one that Kong auto-generates for you. Here, Kong. Now, if we enable the plugin and repeat the request to trigger the certificate generation, it still failed. But then now if we try again, it is going to go through, and you can see that it is a Let's Encrypt certificate that was generated by Kong. And taking a look at the logs, if we enable the log level to be debugged, you can see that the plugin logs different messages in different stages of the certificate generation. So that's it.
Yeah, it will ship with the 2.0 GA. So yeah, so like we just do a very 3 intense demos. So before I go further, do you folks have any questions so far? All right, so sounds good. So we can talk about some Q&A session in the end. So like with that, like I will continue sharings. So we do have lots of other improvements other than those kind of shining feature pack feature. And like I would say, a couple of things I will mention. First is proxy buffering. So with this feature, you can, what you can do here is like you are able to change, like, you know, in the, like Kong developments, there's some different phases. And with buffered proxy, right now you can kind of like buffer the reading the server's response. And like you can do something like modify the headers based on the content of the body. So that's like something like add some flexibility we can never done before. So that's a great thing. So actually we spend a lot of time to actually pull this off. And there's a couple of other things, for example, like if you have some, you know, like Kong is based on the NGX, some of our clients community, they actually have their customized NGX directive. So like we extend the directive injection. What that means, like right now, you have the capability to do like reduce more and more kind of like NGX templating, and like you can facilitating have the better upgrades compatibility. And another things I would like to mention here is the promises plugin performance. Before that, we did like some community call, and like some community member mentioned, like if we enable promises plugins, actually slow down Kong a lot. We did some benchmarking and to see what's the bottleneck is. We found out the previous promises plugin has very intensive ShadX writing and the read operation. Like the ShadX is kind of in memory across different NGX process. It's a mechanism we use to synchronize data inside the NGX system. It's actually a blocking operation. By doing that, we actually block the whole process just at the lock when you try to write into the ShadX. Otherwise, we're gonna have a read-write inconsistency. So with that, we actually have an additional layer of the ShadX cache. Like within that, we already use the similar mechanism to gonna improve the promises. What that means, like when you're writing to the promises matrix, it's actually writes to the cache. It gets like we add a timer, for example, maybe like one second. So we write all the promises batchly writing into a single operation. So it's actually reduced the writes and also the time for like operating the ShadX significantly. We actually, after benchmark, we saw this promises plugins actually had like a 2x performance improvements with the latest 2.0 GA. So if you are promises heavy user, like I would highly suggest you to upgrade to the latest Kong 2.0 GA. So like you will have the promises improvement included. And like we also do is like our phone home functionality is also relies on the ShadX. We might use the similar mechanism to do the optimization in the future. So I think that's the primary like a big improvements we have like for the Kong 2.0. So like with that, I would like thanks everyone like for joining, and like thanks GitHub for giving some good in-depth demos. So right now I will get back time for the Q&A sessions. All right, so any folks have any thoughts, any question? I'm like more than happy to chat a little bit. All right. How do you feel, guys feel about the latest feature? If you guys feel excited, or like you think it's, you want to say more, or like you think, oh, it might be a breaking changes. What do you guys feel about? Any thoughts?
And feel free to drop any questions or comments in either the chat, or you can unmute yourself as well.
Yeah, likewise, there's a couple of things like I would like mention the last. So lots of folks being realized we after 2.0 GA, we actually dropped the support for the pre like 1.0 version. Like I know some of the folks might running on the 14s, like it's 13s. Right now is the kind of best time for you to upgrade to the 1.5. So 1.5 will be the last hop. Like we're gonna do the support. We actually introduced a tool like for the like API to server and route migration. So right now you have the command like in 1.5 can support to migrate your legacy APIs like entity to servers and route. So it's the best time if you want to upgrade to the latest is 1.5. And another thing is like breaking changes is the service mesh. So like if folks might already realize we have the Kuma is going to dedicate to do the service mesh like for layer 3, layer 4. And like for that, we were dropping support like for service mesh within Kong. So I would encourage you if you want to do some service mesh, so go to check our Kuma projects. And last things I wanted to mention here is like by doing the 2.0, like we actually think about how can we make it migrations like less painful as possible. So actually like during the process to planning the 2.0, we actually think about like how we reduce the break-in changes to make sure like your migrate is like as smooth as possible. So like share some funny story like within the Kong is like the enterprise is also to do is like trying to upgrade 2.0. So this time they actually surprised me it's like less friction and like breaking changes. So like if you are stuck in the 1 series, I would seriously suggest you folks to give it a try. Maybe it's like a canary environments to try like our own kind of latest 2.0 GA version. So by the way, we have the DAO release 2.0.1 is like fixed a few bucks. Like yeah, for free to check it out. And yeah, let's see any other questions so far.
Yeah, just to reiterate, if there is anyone is still using APIs in other versions, the 1.5 ships with the tool in the Kong CLI to convert APIs to routes and services, so that may help in the migration process.
Thanks for that. I saw a question raised in the channel. Is Christy? He mentioned like thanks for the demo and like is any drawback to use a DB-less mode rather using a stack DB configuration? So to answer the question, I would say like the DB-less mode, like we still have like some plugins like we do not support. Like for example, like some authentication. If you're trying to in the proxy side, you try to write into the database. So for those are the plugin we are not fully support the DB-less mode so far. Jess, do you have any like comments on that?
No comments from me.
Okay, I think that that's the things. All right, community presenting good. Yeah, another 1-2 months. Yes, yeah, Jeremy, like yeah, thanks for the support. Like I would say to within 1-2 months will be great because like we are so excited to have like see some good adoption for 2.0. Yeah. All right.
Yeah,
Is
looking
any
forward to test it out and report on it.
all right. Thank you. Yeah. Any other comments or thoughts?
Yeah, I could. Hi there, Hisham here. So, forgive my terrible looks. I just arrived from a like 14-hour flight. No, I just wanted to reiterate that for Kong 2.0, we tried as hard as we could to make this a smooth transition, right? I know that for a lot of people in the community, Kong going from 0.x to 1.0 was this big bang. And especially because many people were still on APIs and all of that, even though the transition throughout the latest 0.x was gradual. 1.0 was way more of a huge shift than from 1 to 2. We have seen some like initial feedback and numbers that 2.0 has been seeing some nice adoption, which means that people are upgrading and like that people are not scared to upgrade, and we want to encourage people to upgrade. There shouldn't be like radical breaking changes at all. If you can look up like the announcements on Cognation and all of the lists of changes that we published in the changelog as well. It was usually like minor details and things like that, and we worked very hard to keep compatibility for the behavior, so that like all of your routes will migrate cleanly from 1.x to 2 and will keep their behaviors. So it's like apart from the service mesh removal, which from our data we don't really expect people to be impacted by that. Going from 1 to 2.0 should be a really smooth upgrade, and we really want everyone to upgrade so we can like start making using of all those new features and the stuff that's still to come in the 2.x series. So yeah, I just wanted to, you know, push for people to upgrade.
Yeah, so like for the community, if you have like some legacy versions like running too good and too stable, and they have no incentive to upgrade, it's actually causing a lot of burden for us to maintain. So like we just dropped like pre 1.0, so like we are not porting any security or vulnerability bugs like to the pre like 1.0 seriously. So like yeah, it's right now the good timing if you want to go. All right. Any other questions or comments? All right, I think, Kathleen, I will get back to you. Yeah, thanks everyone for joining me and like.
Awesome, yeah, thank you. Thank you for the presentation, and thank you for everyone for the questions and joining us today. I did get a couple questions on the recording, so that is available on YouTube by end of day today. And our next online meetup is March 10th, so we hope to see you there. Thanks everyone, have a great day.